Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Yosha and I'm your go-to girl for all things real. Today's video is going to be an update on life after Nexplanon. I have been off of Nexplanon for about 2.5 years now, and I'm still getting a lot of love and questions and support on the playlist with videos about Nexplanon. I did share some of my experiences from the day getting it in to the day that I took it out, as well as some of the things that I noticed with my body after. So I wanted to answer some of your most frequently asked questions so that if you are wondering how you may progress if you decide to get off, or what you may experience before getting it, you can find out right here from me. So the first and most often asked question is, have you been able to lose weight after Nexplanon? And so the answer to that question is a yes and a no. And the yes is that I have successfully been able to lose weight when I was doing consistent workouts and eating healthy foods and being really mindful of my intake. However, I have been experiencing some things personally where I just didn't feel like doing those things, and I have not been able to get back down to the size that I was prior to Nexplanon. So I don't want to say that the weight that I'm still holding on to is completely Nexplanon's fault, but I do want to say that I have not been able to get back down to the size that I was prior to getting on Nexplanon, even with diet and exercise for a period of months. I did lose about 35 pounds, give or take, but my weight at that point was like 240, and my heaviest weight was 278. However, my heaviest weight on Nexplanon was like 245, and when I got on Nexplanon, I was in the teens, the 200s, but I was in the teens, between 216 and 218. I want to say I was 218 when I weighed in before getting it. So I've struggled with weight loss, but I'm not going to completely blame Nexplanon on that. The next question that I received is, have I chosen a new birth control since Nexplanon? The answer to that is no. I have not done any sort of birth control since Nexplanon. I had such a weird experience with it that I just have been using condoms and the pull-out method. I just don't feel comfortable with injecting anything else into me, including an IUD. A lot of people that I know closely use the Mirena and they use IUDs, the copper IUDs. They said that they work just fine. If I were to go back to a birth control, I would probably feel the most comfortable with a birth control pill. However, the issue with that is consistency, and even when I had to take those to regulate my cycle back when I was 15, I fell off the wagon with it. Now, obviously, I'm much older now. I'm a little more responsible now than I was at 15, but I personally just don't think that it's something that I can see myself doing. Now, if I have a baby and I'm like, okay, I don't want another one for 2 years or something, then I may consider something else. But currently, in this climate, I'm okay with what I've been doing. I also do the calendar method. Please let me know if you would like a video about the calendar method. The calendar method is what I used prior to getting pregnant with Josiah, before I was relying on an app, and the app ended up messing up, and basically I was a week late because I was relying on the app instead of the traditional calendar method, and I ended up having sex during my ovulation week because something was off with the app that I was using. And when I manually went back to count using the traditional calendar on my phone, on my calendar from that year, I realized that I was ovulating. And before having a baby, my cycles would come every 28 days. And so the calendar method is basically what you would use to track your cycle. And if you have a regular cycle, meaning your cycle comes every 28 days, or I would even say every 26 to 28 days, you can basically gauge 2 weeks from the start of your period and know that that's your ovulation time. And so you would use those days around the middle of your cycle to know that those are your most fertile times of the month. And that's how that works. I've been doing that and I've not gotten pregnant. Like I told y'all, I've been off for 2.5 years and I still only have one child. I'm not pregnant. So if you want a more in-depth explanation of that method, then let me know. Another question that I've received is about the ovarian cysts. I did mention that I had one in my previous video, and I thought that I came back to update you guys on it, but when I looked on my channel, the last update was like 5 months post. So I'm sorry for not coming back sooner, but basically with the ovarian cysts that they found and the cervical pain that I was experiencing, they did not find anything abnormal, and the cyst ended up dissolving on its own. When I went back for my next annual appointment, there were no irregularities found in the PAP that they did, the cervical exam, whatever they did down there that time. They did not find anything else, and I did follow up about it because, you know, I was concerned, but they actually would have called me after a few days if something was abnormal there, and it ended up going away on its own. Some other people have asked me about conceiving, like, have I tried to conceive yet? Am I able to conceive? I have not been trying to conceive, so I want to say that I should be able to, and I will answer another question that will tell you why I think that. But if you're having issues with conceiving, I think that that's not something I can answer for you. I'm not a licensed doctor or anything like that. I just shared my experiences because I wanted y'all to know, because when I got on that birth control, there was really not much information about it. And so I'm all for helping others with my experiences. That's what I do on my channel. But I will say this. No, I haven't tried to conceive yet, and I don't think that I'm going to have a problem with conceiving. I don't have any other conditions that have seemed to spiral from using the birth control. I still have my cycles regularly, which someone did ask this question: how soon did it take for your cycle to return after getting off of it? Every woman is different, okay? It really does depend on what day you had it put in. So there's so many factors. I can only share my experience, but for me, my cycle returned about 2.5 to 3 weeks after I had it removed. I had a full cycle. Once my cycle ended, it didn't return again for another 3 weeks. Then the next time it came, it returned again in about 3.5 to 4 weeks. And by that 4th month, I was seeing my cycle every 26 days. And now, you know, 2 years later, my cycle basically comes every 26 to 28 days. Now, before getting on birth control, before having Josiah, my cycle came every 28 days. And that has been the case since I used birth control one time at the age of 15 to regulate my cycles, because my cycles were so irregular before I was sexually active. Like, I wouldn't see a period for 2 months, then it would come, and it would come for like 2 or 3 weeks. And my mom was like, no, that's not normal. You got to go get that regulated. And we went, and it was an awful experience, but I was able to get the birth control to regulate it. So for me, my cycle returned in 3 weeks. Some people are commenting and saying that theirs hasn't returned. It's been 4 weeks, or it's been 2 weeks, it's been a month. They're feeling concerned. Understand that the birth control works differently for everyone. You may not be pregnant. If you haven't had any sex and it hasn't returned, please don't worry. Your body has to adjust to the birth control being removed. Now, if you have been having sex and your significant other has been ejaculating inside of you, then yeah, there is a risk of being pregnant. I remember when I had mine removed, the doctor said that I think within 48 hours, after that 48 hours, basically my body will register that the birth control is not there, and that I would need to use other contraceptive or emergency contraceptive methods to prevent pregnancy. So the same will apply, but your body will need time to regulate. Like, let's say that you just ended your cycle and then you get your birth control removed the next day. Obviously, your cycle should not be there in a week or two because you just had a cycle. So your body's regular cycle is trying to regulate with what you just removed from your body. So your cycle may be delayed. It may be early. I don't really remember like when I had just had my cycle or not. I know that I wasn't on my cycle when I went and got it removed, and it did come in about 2.5 to 3 weeks. I also remember that when I was on Nexplanon, after like the first 5 months, my cycle started to go away and I wasn't really having a cycle anymore. I had occasional spotting, but I didn't have like a 7-day period or a 5 to 7 day period. And currently my cycles are a bit heavier. and it only lasts about 5 days. Like on the 5th day, I don't have to wear a tampon or a pad. I'm a pad girl. I don't know why I said tampon, but that is kind of how it happens. So I am much heavier, but honestly, I think that part of that is with diet and my weight as well. Because when I was losing weight, which I am actually back on my weight loss journey, but when I was losing weight and I was eating like less inflammatory foods, my cycle wasn't as heavy and it wasn't as bad. But I've had heavy cycles honestly my entire life. It just got a little worse as I gained weight. So those are all the questions that I was asked in the comment section of my most viewed video about this. If I missed anything, please drop your question down below in the comments. Even if it's something that I've said, I can probably point you in the direction of the timestamp where I answered it, or just answer it for you. You know, I'm not that kind of person where I don't want to answer your questions. I want to say thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to my channel and share this video with anyone that you know that might be coming off or on this birth control. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.